This is Movies, a podcast about the act of cinema. And with me today, once more, complaining about his microphone. He is going to get a new microphone soon. He is getting some money from this show. It's not a whole lot of money, but he's got enough to afford. You can afford like a Shure microphone with how much I pay you each month, wouldn't you say?
Well, I've been saving so I can get something decent. I've been saving a couple of months so that I could get like a $70 microphone that could last me longer than whatever this thing is.
Well, we've been doing this now for almost 200 episodes, and I'm still using a Blue Yeti like it's 2013. So
Yeah.
your microphone is not the best. My microphone is not the best. We do have to upgrade here, but that's
We need
okay.
more we need more Patreon subscribers. That's
We do.
patreon.com
Patreon.
slash
That's good when we're both giving the link at the same time.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/LowRes if you want to sign up. Here's the deal. The episodes that are currently, if you're listening to this on iTunes, if you're listening to this on Spotify or whatever your podcast app of choice is, there's a whole bunch of brand new episodes that you have never listened to by the time you're hearing this. We've covered so many films from 2022 and then older films, classic films, that take so long to come out in this feed because we're queuing it up. We want to incentivize you guys signing up for patreon.com/LowRes in the $5 tier. It doesn't just get you the video. It gets you a swath of episodes that run the gamut on genre and year. And we've got plenty of those coming out. We're going to be hitting 200 very soon. This is episode 188 at the time we're recording this. What do you want to do for 200? I feel like it's a big one for that number 100, which had a couple of variations of it, a couple of take twos. We wound up doing Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was a big, epic film, epic 4-hour film. It fit it perfect. Should we do like Gone with the Wind or something for 200? Could you endure Gone with the Wind?
No.
Why not? It's a classic, Hans. It was the number one box office winner of all time up until Titanic.
Yeah, what else was popular when that came out? Slavery. Chinese people in intern camps. No, wait, Koreans, whatever.
Sure.
No, how about what's the Spielberg
The
musical
Saint?
that came out this year?
Starring Val Kilmer, The Saint from 1996. Damn, that
No.
would be a great one for 200. I can't think of a better film than The Saint starring Val Kilmer.
What's the musical that Spielberg directed now that a lot of people are saying is amazing?
Oh, you
with
want to go back
Ansel?
to West Side Story, the OG.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Because I definitely want to sit through that shit again.
We'll
with
do West Side Story and we will bring on Steven Spielberg as the
Mhm.
guest.
Ansel Elgort. Recently uncanceled, I guess.
He had
Ansel
too many
Elgort.
projects. There were too many projects that were already in the can. Just like Ezra Miller when he chokeslammed that girl and it
Yep.
got brushed under the rug. There's a couple of Disney people like that as well. When there are multiple films that they have this person contracted to and mostly shot, you will not see that cancellation stick. You saw it stick with Armie Hammer because he had one. And Fox went under right after they made that movie. And it got sold to it's probably gonna wind up on Hulu very soon. Much like this film, which was originally a Fox film. And I think it did have a 20th century. I hate that logo, by the way, the 20th Century Films logo. They just removed the Fox from it. Awful. And, all these companies are upgrading or really downgrading their logos by making it CG. MGM, if you ever see an MGM film now, it used to be that real lion from 1940 where they just brought it into the studio one day and he was already pissed off. They had to trank him probably for most of it, but it was a real lion. Now it's some soft-looking CG lion. It's really horrible.
Which Fox logo are you talking about? Because I don't really pay attention to that.
20th
So,
Century Studios, the very first one.
oh, is that what that looks like now? That
Mhm.
sucks. Oh yeah, it looks like shit. I mean, I'm sure the original one, okay, maybe not CGI, but this looks terrible. It looks like
It always is.
bootleg.
Yeah, it does. It really does. That's a good way to put it. It looks bootleg. It looks like if you went over to Asia and saw some like U.S. brands for sale at a flea market, that would be the equivalent of this new 20th century logo, 20th Century Studios. Oh, cool.
Now, how do you feel about Adrian's Lyne's career?
I love it. I'm a big fan of Adrian Lyne, which is why I wanted to
Okay.
cover this movie on the
Okay.
show. I had high expectations for it, and we'll get into that. But we already covered. Actually, no, we never covered the original Jacob's Ladder for this show. I believe we covered, or no, when Jerry had his short-lived ratings podcast, which only went
Yeah.
for about 15 episodes. This was back in 2019 when we had a little mini network.
Holy
The
shit, that was 3 years ago already
yeah,
that we did the Black Jacob's Ladder.
I think that was 2019.
God damn.
I know.
Yeah.
2019 was
Yeah.
a massive year for our group in retrospect. And 2020 just sucker punched it, knocked it out, knockout game. 2020 brought us Civic TV, and that was about it.
Yeah.
We had Mass State Lottery, but honestly, Mass State Lottery, what we shot for that in 2020 doesn't compare or remotely pale, and it's great shit. Some of the best stuff we shot in March 2020, absolutely, no question about it. But compared to just the volume of what we did, 2021 was a big spike. But 2019
Well,
is unrivaled as far as internet content. We had Comfort Systems, we had Glue Addict, we had you coming on as co-host for movies, and also movies was pretty fresh at the time. I only started that September 11th, 2018. Jerry had his podcast going, and Jake had his podcast going. So we had a constant stream of content that was coming out. That is not the case anymore. It's just you and I doing this show.
yeah, I was gonna say that the second ago, uh, my state lottery was definitely better just because the first what 20 was that 2019 when we meet up the first time
It was
2020.
March 2020.
Right. I mean, it was fine, but I think we were still trying to figure out how we worked together and how we work with each other. So even though a lot, like most of it, I'm assuming was good, I feel like the how natural everything came along with the second go was better.
Well, it was all
Um,
good. It was definitely all
yeah,
good. We didn't have to reshoot
yeah.
any of it. It doesn't come across as unnatural or anything, even if
It
your
does.
acting is more comfortable. But here's the significant difference: is when we were shooting in November, especially the scenes where you have the Rathke and the Devlin characters. That's a lot more elaborate than what we had shot in March 2020, and I think it plays better and it sells everything else a whole lot better without going too into detail or pointing out the flaws, long in advance,
Uh,
which we're not going to
no
do.
flaws.
There's
What
no
flaws?
flaws, no,
Not at
but
all.
it's a different movie now. It's a different movie than what we shot in March
But you
for the
know what
better.
the good thing about that is that we never really revealed much of it. So it's only me, you, and Jerry and Jake that know what the first movie was like
Hmm.
or what the initial thing was like. So yeah, I don't know. I think it works better
It
with the
absolutely works better,
adjustments. The
100%.
adjustments are done. Yeah.
There's not even the slightest doubt in my mind. And here's the thing: this is kind of this is what prompted the fundraiser to begin with back in what was it? Maybe May now of 2021. And why I'm glad that was successful is when when we shot Mass State Lottery the first time around. And granted, it still wasn't completely shot.
Yeah.
There's not like some kind of misconception here that it was all done. It was never all done. It's still technically not all. It's going to be all done this week. But when it came to that, the first incarnation of Mass State Lottery, as it was written, it was kind of it's not a buddy cop film, but it's a bit of a buddy film where you have two people playing off each other. And it was originally the Rathke character was a private investigator, and I play that role, and his partner William Evans, who's another private investigator, former cop, played by Nicholas Joroff, who's terrific in the movie, sacrificed a lot for the movie, which I won't even. But if you watch his streams, you'll understand.
Mhm.
Um, And then when I watched the work print, when I had everything together and I checked out the work print, it became very clear to me that this was not a story about Rathke and Evans. It was a story about Rathke and the Devlin character and how their trajectories mirror one another. And they're coming at the same issue from opposite sides of the spectrum. I think that's much more interesting. And so I wanted to flesh that out more and build upon that and reframe parts of the movie around that. See, the way that I've handled this film, many directors, and this is probably how you should do it. You shouldn't follow my example here, but because I have the luxury of being my own editor, producer, writer, director, and star, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can turn this into a rom-com at any second, and it would sell based off what we have.
I mean, you have enough, I think, to turn it into a rom-com too.
I know that was probably like the least, but they don't know anything about it. The people listening don't know anything about Mass State Lottery. But here's the thing, with my process with this film, it's more like, so when I was younger, when I was 22 years old, I wrote a novel, and that novel was published, and it's out of print now. It's gone for now. But my process with that was, all right, well, we're going to do a couple of passes at this. I'm going to write it in full. Then we're going to play it back. What works here? What works here? What doesn't work here? All right, let's swap out this. You know what? I got an idea for this. I'm going to implement this. So I'm acting as the singular hand that is guiding everything with this. And my process with this film has been extremely similar to when I wrote a novel at 22 and also when I wrote novellas at 25, etc. The creative project here is, you know, it's just, it can be tampered with and altered and adjusted a week before it's released, if I'm so inclined, just because of the amount of control I have with this. And some people will tell you that's a good thing. Some people will tell you that's a bad thing. There's certainly pros and cons and all sorts of flaws. You know, you can find yourself falling to perfectionism when you're in that role. And that's not something I'm looking to do here. But when I noticed that there was something that was far more interesting and I think bettered the story in the film, it was no question. We had to take a left turn into that and explore that more and unpack it. And as of right now, I am extremely pleased with what we've got for the film. I think it's going to be very interesting, to say the least, when it is finished. And I can't wait to be fucking done with this movie. I am so tired of looking at my face and your face and doing these characters. It's everything. I want it out of the way. I want to move on to the next two and get rolling on that.
Speaking on that, I have like 20 pages for you to read. I probably shouldn't be saying this on stream. Hoping that the next project will be a comedy instead of you know, whatever we can come up with. I should be done with it. Let's talk about it off stream. But
yeah. We don't need to get into it in the middle of the show. But this is good because you probably don't have much to say about Deep Water, so it's all right.
No, that was. Oof. Well, that's why I wanted to ask you about what you think of Adrian Lyne.
Adrian Lyne.
Because looking at his filmography, I like Jacob's Ladder, and
that's about it. He doesn't have an extensive filmography. He only has about 8 films under his belt.
It's very horny. It's a very, very horny filmography right from the beginning.
His first movie is Foxes. I haven't seen that. His next one is Flashdance.
Flashdance. It's a horny dancing movie, right?
I actually have never seen Flashdance. I know it's a classic. I haven't seen it.
I've never seen it either, but it's about that woman that dances with
leg warmers and the chair and the bucket of water that comes down to cool her off.
Wet hair. Yeah. So horny. So we start with horny there, and then we have 9.5 Weeks, which is a horny movie.
Peak H word. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Fatal Attraction, which is another.
But it punishes you. It's the first step in the direction of we'll get horny. But then I'm gonna punish you for it. That's bad.
He punishes you just because you see Glenn Close naked, though. Which is not really what you want from
Glenn Close
1987 movie.
A low tier fuck for sure. And can you imagine going ahead with that and then it ruins your family? The original ending to Fatal Attraction, I quite like. Have you seen Fatal Attraction? No.
No, no.
Fatal Attraction is very good because it is literally just like Michael Douglas is a successful businessman, and he's like, I guess I could fuck Glenn Close. All right, I'll fuck her, and he wines and dines her a little bit, and then
Who's
she
his
gets hung up on
wife?
him.
Is he married? Does he have a
Yes.
couple that he cheats on with his dog?
Yeah.
with with this lady that looks 50 at 22. I don't know how
Yes.
old she is,
And
but she looks,
his wife in the movie is much cuter. It's not
of
even close.
course.
She's younger. She's better looking. They have a daughter who's kind of gender fluid looking. I thought it was a boy the entire movie until the very end.
87. All
Yep.
right.
So, well, the original ending of Fatal. Here's the thing with Fatal Attraction. It's a great spooky movie, especially if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody who's unstable. And someone tweeted recently they like me when I share the BPD girl stories on this show of that one girl with BPD I dated. But it really did like put you
Yeah.
right back into the scene. Like, oh fuck, Michael Douglas,
Well,
what are you doing?
that BPD thing, I think it's either a wake up call or you accepting that in your future you're just gonna get fucked over by a bunch of unstable women. So it's like a path that you decide, all right, so I've gone through this experience, never again, which is what I'm assuming you went through.
Correct. I said never again. I'm never dating a white woman again.
Right, exactly. Or, I kind of like this. Maybe I'll go find the next person that still has like a Tumblr.
Well,
And
that's Ben
date
Affleck
them.
in this Deep Water movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, all
Ben,
right. Let me just say the final note on Fatal Attraction. They end it in like a fight sequence where they're wrestling around the bathroom, and then Glenn Close jumps out of the tub, and they just fucking shoot her, and it's satisfying to see her get a bullet. But here's how it originally ended: she killed herself and framed Michael Douglas for it, just like
oh,
any woman
fucking
would.
bitch.
She
Yeah.
cut her own throat and said it was Michael Douglas. She didn't say it, but
You didn't say it.
she used a knife with his fingerprints.
Yeah. So after she ends up looking like the woman from the Shining coming out of the tub, she cuts her own throat. All right, sounds good. I don't know. Michael Douglas, it's in the same category to me as Richard Gere,
Yes.
where they were supposed to be heartthrobs, but they always looked 60 to me.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
why
don't.
they're mom's favorite.
Yeah, pretty much. My mom used to have a crush on Richard Gere forever.
Everybody's mom.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And then after that, you got Jacob's Ladder, which is completely
Completely different from the rest of his
different
films.
from. It's kind of horny, I guess, but it deals more with drugs and like more mental shit. So that one, if you look at his entire filmography, that one feels like kind of like a left, like a
It's an
completely
outlier. But he
Yeah.
does have a Spanish girlfriend who's cheating on him at parties and stuff. So you're right. There is that component, but on the whole, it's a much darker. Well, no, all of his films are fairly dark, but it is more, I guess, horror than anything else. And it's not even close. Is it Indecent Proposal that follows that, or does he have one before that? All right, Indecent
got
Proposal.
That one's good. I've seen that one.
You
With,
saw that
Woody,
one?
A long time ago, yeah, the 90s. Woody Harrelson being cucked? Yes.
That movie is on par with this movie we're talking about tonight, in my opinion, which is that it's a stupid movie, but it's kind of enjoyable just because Woody Harrelson has he sets himself up, fucks himself over, and then gets mad about it. You know?
Well, he had like that. I'm still trying to kind of be a heartthrob, but my hairline is shitty hair. So it's very like comb ovary to the middle. And he's with Demi Moore, who's one of the hottest stars in those days, right?
Yeah.
And then what is it? Robert Redford, who's the older guy that's like, I want to fuck your wife. It's very similar. This movie to me felt more like the Should Be Gone Girl. Like that's a better title for Deep Water to me, because I can't imagine. Okay, so you're dating someone that's much younger than you, like Ben Affleck is in this movie, or at least she looks way younger than him.
She is.
And then he's just putting up with everything just because of that. There's a lot of very uncomfortable interactions between them when she's like, "Oh yeah, well I'm flirting with this guy," and then he's just sad Ben Affleck staring at her, just being like, "Okay." It's just like not saying much. It's just like, "Fine, I'll stare at you guys from across the room in silence."
Well, we know a couple like this, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of hits home a little bit. Hans and I have a history with somebody who used
I
to be in
mean,
our circle of things who was with a woman, and I swear to you, it's exactly like this movie. If you watch this movie and thought nobody would deal with you're wrong. I mean, I guess nowadays it's
well,
not that wild to assume that a dude would just put up with his girlfriend hitting on people at every fucking party and bringing her own second, third, or fourth boyfriend along and being like, "Hey, everyone, this is Carlos. This is my new friend here. He
this is
plays
Winston.
piano."
Yeah, this is Wallace. Um, I think the biggest difference here is that Ana de Armas is very good looking, and she
Sure.
does not look way older than you. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I guess you could see this relationship between older man trying to keep his younger, good-looking wife happy by just letting her flirt with everyone. I guess,
And
but
fall
if
in love
you
with them and fuck
and
them and
fuck them.
invite them. Say, hey, could you just make us dinner tonight, Ben?
Hey, how about you just bring them over so I can cook for both of you guys? Yeah, it's rough. I didn't get the erotic part of it because I feel like it was very tame when it came
Mm.
to that, especially when you look at the rest of his
Oh
filmography.
yeah, absolutely. That was an observation I was going to make, which is that this film feels much more of this time, which is like we're post sex and movies. We're over
Mhm.
the idea of showing tits which she shows her tits in this movie. So good for her.
Yeah,
I thought we were just going to get like a classy back shot, but
yeah,
she actually does show her
yeah. She shows
breasts.
her little breasts.
And they're whatever. They're fine, I guess.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but
hold
it,
on a
it
second. He does. Before we fully get into deep water,
okay.
um, indecent proposal, and then what is it after that? Lolita,
Lolita, yeah.
which I have not seen either. That'll be next up. We got to do
So,
a proper Lolita show with Jerry to get back on the Kubrick.
with Jerry.
With Jerry, yes,
All
yeah, yeah.
right. That's the right person to do Lolita with, I guess. And then you got on then you got on Faithful, which is your favorite, right?
I
When you
do
got
like Unfaithful. Actually, that
it's
movie's
good.
fun. It's Richard
Yeah.
Gere being a
Being
man,
cucked.
being cucked,
Being
and then
cucked.
being a man
Yeah.
about it. And then Adrian Lyne takes a break. What, you don't agree with that? You don't think he handled it right?
I don't believe that he will be able to beat anyone up. So I guess that's when I was kind of like,
Well, you're
all right,
misremembering. He didn't
all
beat
right,
him
Richard
up.
Gere.
He sucker punched, and by sucker punch, I mean he picked up a statue and hit the guy over the head, and he happened to
Oh,
die from it. It
that's
was
true.
a
Yeah.
heat of the moment accident. It's a better
Got
version of this movie, basically.
He's got very strong forearms that Richard Gere is like Popeye to be able to kill him with a statue like that. But it's a very similar story. I guess the biggest difference is that in Unfaithful, she's not out in the open with it because
She's not heartless about it. It's not some
she's not
normalized thing.
right. She's not flirting in front of her husband, but she is fucking everywhere. So it's kind of I guess that's where they differ, both of them, because in Deep Water, Ana de Armas pretty much stays to her house and like where those reunions happen, and we do have a scene where she gets fucked in the car. But we don't know if that's just Ben Affleck imagining that, or if that actually happened, because they do have kind of like a rule of like she can flirt but not fuck him type of thing. Ain't Unfaithful, it's just Richard Gere doesn't know, so I'm just gonna have sex with this younger French guy in the stairs of his apartment building, and then I'm gonna go to a bar with my older woman friends, and then he's gonna fuck me in the toilet. So
Yeah.
it's more out there, I guess, even though it's kept secret. When in Deep Water, Ben Affleck is aware of everything that's happening, and she's openly flirting with these much younger than him men right to his face. And I thought it was really funny just seeing Ben Affleck trying to be like, yeah, well, I'm an actual man, so I don't know what you have to offer here, but I'm a man.
Yeah.
I feel like his dialogue was pretty much that every time he interacted with the younger guys.
Mm-hmm. So
But
one thing he
yeah,
can hold on to that he could
yeah,
potentially flaunt in his favor.
yeah,
Now, here's the explanation. So Patricia Highsmith, who's a novelist, wrote a book in the 1950s called Deep Water. And the explanation for this whole dynamic that the Ben Affleck character and Ana de Armas have is that it's the 1950s. You're not going to divorce your wife in the 1950s. She doesn't love him. They came to an arrangement where it's like he's the wealthy older guy, and he just kind of he says to her, "Listen, you can see whoever you want, but I need to keep this family together because it's the 1950s and we have a daughter. So do whatever you please, but I have to have this family intact." Now that is not the case with this movie. With this movie, he's just a cuck. He's just a cuckold. That's all it really is.
He just thinks it.
It's
He's just like, fuck, I guess this party, hey, all of my friends are watching her flirt with everyone and they're giving me shit for it, and I'm just gonna sit here and look sad. And,
right. And it's tough to tell whether or not it's something that like he's almost into, but he's not, or like if it's a game to them. It's not clearly explained. I think it would have been not that I think there has to be this element of over explanation with the plot. I think it's fine to keep things vague, but I think it would be better to help understand where they're coming from. Although maybe the more interesting thing is trying to figure out how they both feel about this and if it's performative or authentic, and she's just a heartless, cruel bitch and he's pathetic.
I just don't think they give you enough though to make up your own mind, because every time you are about to get into his weird side with the slugs, with his little basement thing that he has, there's always something that undermines it. So I don't remember how close to the end this is, but when she starts finding the IDs of the guys that he's killed, and she's like, well, I guess, I'm married to this guy, so I'm just going to burn the IDs so that he doesn't get caught or whatever.
Right.
So a lot of it it's like, it starts with her being shitty to him as a test, or like testing him to see how far he can go. And then once he kills someone that she actually appears to care for, she gets really upset. No one believes her. Then you have the older guy that obviously wants to fuck her.
By the way, this older guy character, I guess the antagonist of the film, every time I looked at him, I just always thought of the dude who made the Bad Ben movies. I kept thinking, what is his name?
Something back.
Nigel Bach. Nigel Bach. So I was just thinking, all right, so Nigel Bach is the bad guy in this movie, but Nigel Bach is trying to solve this case.
Okay. Yeah, let me pull it up because I think that's very accurate.
Especially when he's on Ben Affleck's trail and he's like, "Ha! I got you." It felt like very that. Just this guy was a slightly better actor than Nigel Bach.
When that happened in the woods, and he's like, "Hey, I got you," and I guess I'm gonna have to run away now.
It was very Nigel Bach talking to the ghosts in his home. The performance is very one-to-one with that. So it's better if you watch that movie and keep that in your head as you do.
Well, if you haven't seen any of the Bad Ben movies, I think that should be watched before Deep Water. And then you have Nigel right there, and you have this guy. Fuck, I did not make that connection at all, but now that you say it, especially with what happens in the movie where he's in his car and the Ben Affleck character is on his bike and he can still not get away from him.
Yes.
He crashes and
his running and everything is very old, like stilted, kind of fat old. Now, this is Tracy Letts. I didn't realize that was Tracy Letts. For those who don't know who Tracy Letts is one of the all-time great playwrights and the screenwriter of Killer Joe and Bug, which William Friedkin directed both in the aughts. So Yeah, Tracy Letts is cast as this character. And I just kept thinking Nigel Bach the entire time. He's kind of an annoying character. It's just like, why
Yeah.
are you involving yourself, dude? But that's a typical like older guy with money who's got everything he could ever want. A 25-year-old wife, and he's just not sad. He's still looking for something else.
Well, it's that he points at the killer and he's like, "Hey, you're the killer." And then when the killer comes after him, he's like, "Oh shit, I guess I'm gonna have to run now." Like it's just a very dumb character.
His move
Because
isn't even to call the police and say, "I've
no,
seen Ben Affleck disposing of a body in the woods." He calls his wife and goes, "Ha ha, I was right.
yeah.
I got it." And then he
Also,
crashes.
that whole scene with Ben Affleck going and like there's the body is submerged on the little pond thing there, and then Nigel is like, "Hey, you, what are you doing there?" And then Ben Affleck goes, "Oh, never mind, nothing. It's just picking up my wife's scarf." It's just like, what the fuck am I watching? It felt
ending,
very weirdly tonally, especially because we're supposed to take it seriously. But every time this Tracy Letts character was on screen, it's like I don't understand what they're trying to do with him, but it's not working at all. Like he's not a threat. He never feels like he's in control of anything. He's kind of working with the Ana de Armas character together, I guess, but not really. So it's a lot of just her telling him something and then he just believing 100% because she's hot, I guess. But yeah, I never felt like he was a threat at all, and especially because this happened after Ben Affleck killed that guy in the pool. So after we see that which was a very convenient death, by the way, because everyone just got out of the pool because it started raining, and the two guys that stayed in the pool is Ben Affleck and the guy that's fucking his wife. So what do you think about that? That was very, everything felt like very convenient. And if you want to say that Tracy Letts character is the villain, then
who
I
is the
guess
villain? I guess it's Ben Affleck, but every character is a shade of gray in this movie, which is fine. Yeah. Actually, no. Ana de Armas is kind of just irredeemable. She doesn't really have, aside from being an attractive woman, there's no upside to having a relationship with this girl unless he's again into it, which he might be. But then what? He's scornful about it and kills the.
Yeah.
I mean, look, human nature is very complex and doesn't always take a rational turn. So fine, if you want me to believe that, I can go along for that. That he's just like, yeah, this is hot, but now I'm angry. Now that I've come, I gotta kill this guy. Maybe let's do that movie then. Let's fully lean into that. Like,
but you need him to come though.
Yeah, you gotta have him jerking off first.
Yeah, but otherwise it's just him staring at his wife, weirdly flirting with a guy that looks even younger than her every time. I think one of the guys from American Horror Story was in this. I think he's one of the guys.
The gayest looking guy, the guy with shiny lips, who looks like in Ryan Murphy style NPC. Just his rotation of athletic 30-year-old white males with dark hair and a nice smile.
Yeah, athletic, shiny, gelled hair back guy.
Looks like a realtor.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I feel like if you look at I forgot the director's name already again.
Adrian Lyne.
Yeah, his filmography. This one feels like a Hulu movie, so it makes sense. It doesn't really go as far as Indecent Proposal. Where there's stakes. Where the main man, I guess, is conflicted into what is. I think they offer him $1 million.
Yes,
right?
the whole concept of Indecent Proposal is Robert Redford notices this couple and gets off on stealing women from their boyfriends or husbands and says, "I'll give you $1 million if I can sleep with her." And they think it over, and he goes with it. And then his character's behavior. Matt would have been better suited for this Ben Affleck character, where then he regrets the decision, she's not really into Robert Redford, but there's aspects of him that she's intrigued by, and he is incessant about not force, but like imposing himself onto her life afterward.
Yeah.
And she goes along with it a little bit, especially after Woody Harrelson is like, I'm sickened by you. You're a whore. You're a whore. Even though I made you take the $1 million, so I have this money. You're a whore, and I'm done with you. So she tries it out with him for a while, with Robert Redford. She doesn't jive with it, and then she hops out, and that's about it. Also, Seymour Cassel is in that movie from Killing of a Chinese Bookie, a number of Cassavetes films, as the limousine driver of Robert Redford. Very good character actor there. But that movie is
Shackleford. That's his character's name in that movie, Mr. Shackleford.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that movie I compare to this one in that it's of a similar intelligence, which is not strong intelligence,
No.
not great intelligence. It takes a very
No.
you can be a very like simple
Well,
corn-fed
listen,
person and watch it and get the entire picture very well.
I just searched as to how much $1 million in 1993 will be in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that it's equivalent in purchasing power to about $1,963,432. Would you sell your wife for a night for that amount of money?
I can firmly say no, I would not. How
Yeah,
about
me
you?
too. No, not at all. Never. No. I'd fuck the guy. Are you I'll be like, you know what? What about me? Let's just do me. Fuck it.
Can I
Whatever.
wear my wife's clothing and we'll just get down to business? What if I just put a
Gonna be-
picture of my wife on the back of my head and you fuck me in the ass?
There's
Maybe we
gonna
can
be a
do
lot
that.
of skin. It's gonna be a lot of skin showing in the dress that does not show when she's wearing it. But listen, I'll grow my hair out. Yeah, because I mean, $1 million now doesn't really sound that much, even though, you know, obviously it's like a huge amount.
Sure.
But in 1993, like I think that changes a lot as to why the Woody Harrelson character would accept, especially if it's that much.
Well, there's also more mystique about a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, your life is set for but now I think the general like the average person has a much better understanding of money now because of the internet and how I mean like almost everybody is kind of like their own small business these days.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be hired by a company necessarily to take care of yourself and get your finances in order and create a life. You know, so you there's a general better understanding of how money works and the idea of being a millionaire. And granted, there, you know, obviously inflation comes into play here, but the idea of being a millionaire, the mystique around that is gone. I feel like now nobody's, you know, shaking their head at $1 million or $2 million, but realistically, it's like that'll be gone in 10 years, unless you invest it very well. That'll be gone in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I couldn't see that movie being done now unless you offer Bitcoin. Then they fuck your wife for 2 Bitcoin.
And then Bitcoin crashes, and then you have fucking nothing.
You have $200. Yeah, because I mean, if you try to compare Deepwater to that, and it's weird to say this because it's 2022, so you would expect things to be raunchier, to be more extreme, to be a little bit less tame than in 93, which is when Indecent Proposal came out, because he did take a 20-year break between Unfaithful and Deepwater. But I think the biggest problem that this movie has is that it's just not. It doesn't
go far. Doesn't go
far
too
enough.
Far. Right.
Yeah, it's very surface. It's very like the drama is not really that interesting. You kind of know what's happening right away. You have the Ben Affleck character that it's killing them, but for whatever reason he's still turned on by her flirting with them, kind of, but not really. And we don't know if he's trying to accept that or like convince himself that he likes that. But at no point we see him look like the dominant male character in the movie at all. So it's yeah,
No,
it's
if you make dinner for your wife's boyfriend, I'm sorry, there's no circumstance where you can be considered the dominant male, even if you're Ben Affleck.
yeah, yeah. You have a pale guy with long blonde hair, and he's just flirting with your wife in front of you. And you're just like, hey, you know what? I fucked her. That's your comeback. That's not a great comeback,
Do you
when your
buy
wife is
him?
bringing him over.
Do you buy him
Yeah.
as this serial killer? Because I don't really.
No,
I
no.
don't. There seems to be. I can understand Richard Gere and Unfaithful doing that in like a heat of the moment thing. That seems like a much more mature adult
Yeah.
film than this.
Hmm.
This seems to be some sort of heightened Gone Girl. It feels like an evolution of Gone Girl. It feels like, all right, well,
Yeah.
what happens after Gone Girl? Well, she's got him by the ball, so she probably just fucks everybody, and then he becomes like her, I guess, but he doesn't get the similar thrill. That's how
No.
this movie kind of works. Otherwise, it's just a pathetic middle-aged man watching, I mean, pretty unimpressive guys get to fuck his
Yeah.
wife.
Pretty unimpressively too. It's not like they were fucking the shit out of her for her to be like, you know what, I need this. They don't show
Right.
anything that goes raunchy enough where you're like, all right, well, they're offering something to my wife that I'm not offering them. It's just like, well, she's younger, so she goes for people that are younger than me, and that's it. So the conflict is not really that interesting. I don't think she ever shows that she cares for their kid either.
No, she's a horrible mother in this movie. And, they could have gone down any number of avenues with their relationship dynamic, and they choose not to. So at a
Yeah.
certain point in the movie, I'm thinking, all right, does she get off on him killing these guys because it's him ultimately
Yeah.
showing dominance, like for
That
all
he
the shit he
cares.
takes?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like, is that the game that they're playing here? And no, it's not, because then she's
No.
shouting at the police, "He killed him! He killed!" So all right,
Yeah.
that's not that then. But I don't know. You get hints and glimpses that this is a thought out thing, and they flush that away for, all
Yeah.
right, well, maybe Ben Affleck he's not actually killing, but he's just trying to intimidate them. That's her perception, right? But he is actually
Yeah.
killing these guys.
There's also that scene where the little girl that where I think she's gonna run away or something, and the little girl throws the suitcase into the pool, and she's like, "We're not leaving." And Ana de Armas is like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "What is happening?" Like now you care about your fucking child an hour and a half in.
Also,
It just
she gets over these guys so quickly. Like
yeah,
one guy dies in the same week, and she's the next day on to the next fella. She's sobbing,
yeah,
and then she's got a date the next night. She can't slow down, so she's got all these suitors lined up in a row, and she's apparently talking to the last one months in advance. She's just queuing them up, really.
and it's a job. This woman needs something to do, so that she's just searching for different strange cock on the internet.
Right.
So she can have, like a little roster of younger baristas that come and fuck her, while her husband just like stares from outside of the window, very
She has
upset.
no passions at all. And here's
No.
the thing too. They do establish that he's the guy who invents like drone tracking for a
The
company.
chips for it or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. But it's kind of just like peppered in there as to like we have to give them it's like a responsibility, or like an he did something. So here's the thing, but he never uses a drone to spy on her. He never comes into, and it doesn't matter. It's just sad, and like it doesn't really affect the story at all. I understand if they were, try to do something with that technology where that's how he finds out that she's cheating or something, but it's just thrown in like exposition
And they don't
where
live
it's
in
just
an extremely like exuberant lifestyle. They live
no,
in a pretty modest house out in, I think it's what, Louisiana or somewhere like that. It's some
somewhere.
southern state. I believe it was Louisiana. Maybe I'm wrong. But they don't have this big extravagant lifestyle. They do seem to find time to go to these couples parties every week at somebody else's house.
Yeah, we got Lil Rel. Is
Little
that
Rel
is that
Howard
yeah?
is in
Howard.
Ben Affleck's group along with that dude Dale something. who just pops up, the red-haired guy who pops up as a supporting character in
The
everything.
Dash
Dash.
Mihok,
Yeah, that
Mi,
guy.
the guy from your favorite Ray Donovan, who plays his retarded brother.
Right.
Yeah,
That guy's in
yeah,
there. Showtime actor. Biggest break he could have gotten. So that's who we're, they sit him down. They're like, listen, this what she's doing right now to you is not okay. Why don't you
yeah,
tell her to stop? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, guys.
yeah.
She's just, I gotta let her do her own thing. This is the end point for every guy who voted Democrat in 2016 and 2020. I'm sorry to say, you're gonna wind up like Ben Affleck. That's where this goes.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much just taking it all and just hoping that your wife still loves you. One of the things that was very confusing to me was when he killed that guy at the pool, and then she started acting like that had never happened, and how he's just guilty. But like you said, instead of going to the police or anything, she just screamed that you killed him.
Well, the police are there. One detective shows up to start asking questions rapidly. Apparently,
Yeah.
that's just a thing that happens. He's like, "Oh no, I burnt my hand. I couldn't have done it. I tried to eat a
Right.
cookie and I got this third-degree
Oh,
burn on my hand."
that's true. Yeah, yeah. No, I was in charge of the cookies in the oven. What do you mean I killed someone?
Right.
I'm burnt.
Do you see
Yeah,
my
yeah,
hand
yeah.
that looks like Freddy Krueger's face? No, I was eating cookies. I just couldn't help myself. I couldn't have
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah. I was too busy burning my entire hand while making cookies, like no one in the history of making cookies has ever done.
Right.
Uh, yeah, and then she like went full in, which is when the Nigel Beck character starts like with his suspicions, and
He
then
hires the PI who meets up with
yeah,
Ana de Armas later on, and he's like, "What? I'm a photographer." It's like, wow, this PI's never been questioned about his career before by a
yeah,
suspect. Couldn't have come up
yeah.
with something better on the fly.
I'm a I'm a teenager in high school wearing a I'm a whatever you want me to be, but not really.
Right. What
It,
does he
it
say? He's like,
it's
oh, I'm a therapist. I'm actually a psychologist. And then Ben Affleck just fucks with him at the diner.
but that's the thing. Oh yeah, that's true. When he meets them and she's talking to him, and that's my biggest problem in this movie, that I didn't really know who I was supposed to root or care for, or if I gave a shit about any of it, which by the end of it I didn't. Uh, Everything that happened felt very convenient for the story to move forward. And at the end of the day, I feel like these were just a bunch of just very uninteresting people that I really felt nothing for. So it was just a very bland telling of a story that if you were to maybe push far enough, it would have been interesting. But I don't think it pushes far enough. So at the end of the day, it's just halfway there. And I just couldn't care for anything that was happening at all. It was more of a, why are you putting up with this dumb bitch? The whole movie is just like, okay, she's pretty. She's the mother of your child. I get that. But then everything that she puts him through, I didn't know if I was supposed to root for Ben Affleck, or if I was just supposed to be like, yeah, well, he's handling it, I guess. There's not like very defined roles or defined sides to take. There's no villain, like you said. If that's our villain for the movie, that's kind of shitty. Our Nigel Becker doesn't really do much. He's
Well,
not threatening at
I don't
all.
I don't mind the fact that the characters aren't defined necessarily, but I don't think that there's enough dynamic range to them to make you feel like, okay, I want to root for this person or I'm rooting
Right,
against this person. I mean, the closest thing to that is the Ana de Armas character, who is probably the most two-dimensional because she's just a total bitch. She's horrible.
right.
But I mean, by default, she's almost one of the more tolerable characters, though, because that Nigel Bach character is just so wormy.
Yeah,
And you also have Ben Affleck, who's pathetic and doesn't
yeah,
really earn the ending that he gets, in my opinion. The decision to make this a action film in the last 15 minutes feels very the Batman to me, where it's like, all right, we got 90 minutes of
Mhm.
one type of film, and I want to see that film conclude. But then we get, oh, well, he's been tracked, and it's all very convenient. He has the scarf, and then the body comes up, and nobody is investigating this. Nobody cares. Nobody's even thinking about the Ben Affleck character in a serious sense. It seems
Yeah.
very easy to get away with murder in
Yep.
this world that
There's
they've established.
there's no threat of him getting caught, of him being found out of as to what he's been doing for a while now. There's no threat of him. Yeah, I guess the only antagonist is that his wife might not like him, and that's not enough for a
Wife's gonna be
movie.
mad. What does that say? Happy
Yeah,
wife, happy life. This movie proves
right.
that. So
Yeah.
at the end, she what? She comes around to like, oh, I guess he does love me. Maybe I do want to get fucked by this serial killer I married.
which which also doesn't fit with anything that we've been shown throughout the movie because it's not like Ben Affleck changes. It's not like
No.
he acts differently than what he, in the last minute than in the first minute. He's the same character. He just, I guess, we confirm that he actually kills, but besides that, he's still the boring, bringing nothing to the table character that is not interesting. He's not funny. Doesn't even have much of a personality to bring into this relationship. Does he even interact with his little child in any way that it feels like a father interacting with the kid?
Hmm.
Like there's really nothing much about this character other than he's upset that his young wife is not, I guess, attracted to him that much. So there's not enough stakes for you to give a fuck. It feels very Lifetime movie. It feels very very easy to resolve the conflict that for most of the movie you're trying to convince me is very serious. But then when it's about to resolve itself, it's like, I'll just burn the ID. So hey, it's fine. I'm with my husband because we are family.
Yeah.
And
I think the better conclusion of this is she finds out that he's a serial killer. She's not planning to leave or whatever. But then I guess the movie should just end with hardcore fucking and have them fuck for real since they were dating at the time. That's what a real artist would have done. Is all right, Ben, you're gonna penetrate your new girlfriend, and I'm gonna put the camera real close to your
like Antichrist,
genitals.
you're gonna do
Yes,
the Antichrist scene where we see your
yes.
balls slamming at her against her. Yeah.
Right. That's how because then that's the ultimate victory, even though it's not a victory at all. It took you fucking how many years to get cucked to fuck your wife one more time.
But isn't that how this is sold, though? Isn't that how this movie is sold? Like something like that's gonna happen, something risky, something adult will be shown in this movie. But I
Right, and
guess,
why cast a real couple? So they were seeing each other at the time. This is before,
yeah,
I guess she realized she didn't want a 50-year-old alcoholic for a boyfriend, gambling addict,
yeah,
and who with kids and a famous wife. And he went back to J Lo, which he seems to be pretty happy with now. Seems to be keeping him off the sauce for the time being.
yeah.
You could have done any number of things. You could have them making out like passionately, just get them naked with each other. He doesn't do any of that, and I don't know if that's necessarily his call or his decision there. Because again, if you do look, I mean, he came out of retirement after 20 years to make this movie, and he brought back the classic mold of, all right, we're going to get a real Hollywood couple and put them in the same movie together as a couple in the story.
Like in Geely, yeah.
Right. This is the second time Ben Affleck's done that, huh? Oh, third time, Daredevil. He
Yeah,
loves fucking his
yeah.
co-stars.
Yeah, she got Jennifer Garden got her own superhero movie out of it
Sure.
with Elektra.
Actually,
Yeah.
fourth time if you want to consider how J-Lo dies at the beginning of Jersey Girl. So there's that as well. Did he ever fuck Liv Tyler? Liv Tyler he was in a couple of movies with.
I don't know. I can't be sure, but yeah, when it's sexy Ben Affleck, it's like, be careful, women, you're about to fucking die.
You would hate to
But
be a famous actress's boyfriend or husband if she's working with Ben Affleck, who's just notorious for fucking his co-stars. Gal Gadot's husband. Have you ever seen Gal Gadot's husband, this schlubby guy who
No, but of course, of
who
course,
hit the lottery as far as
it's
that goes.
a Jew with money, like Christina Hendricks' husband. I don't know. Is the guy the Snoozeberries guy from Super Troopers?
Really? Oh wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Good
So
for
it's
him.
like, yeah, good. No, 100% good for him. But yeah, that's why because that was a selling point for this movie, right? They're a real couple. So we might get a little raunchy. We might get a little, but I guess you can't really expect that from streaming originals. Like, what's the most extreme streaming original that you can think of where you go, all right, well, this actually dealt with an adult theme and they went far with it, unless you're talking about like a Gaspar Noé movie, and I don't even know if he
Hmm.
does streaming like exclusive
No, he
movies,
doesn't.
right?
I guess when Amazon Prime was doing movies in the late years of the last decade, they got some real directors involved, like Nicholas Winding Refn. They put out Neon Demon and all these other films. Although they put them in theaters, they didn't bring them to streaming immediately, which is what they do now. Now you see very boring, forgettable message films starring Paul Bettany as a gay man in the '70s. Like that's the turn that they've taken. And before they had an interesting streak because they got people with voices involved. But as
Yeah.
far as direct to streaming movies, no, you don't see that from. I mean, it doesn't really count with HBO Max because those movies were supposed to go to theaters. But even
Mhm.
that you don't get it. So
No.
I don't know. That day just seems to be over in mainstream Hollywood for all the sex positivity. It's a very restrained culture because nobody wants to throw on the little white pad over their vagina or their penis and go rub that up on someone else and have 50 men in the room because there's going to be a rape allegation. That's really what it comes. If you got money, you got to protect the money.
Well, it's as simple as just looking at his last two movies, right? You got Deepwater of 2022, where sex and all that shit is a lot more accepted than in 2002. But Unfaithful is a lot more graphic. It's dealing with a more adult theme than when you do it in Deepwater, or at least it feels like it's being handled more seriously than this is.
Is it more
Uh,
accepted? Well, here's the thing that I think is more accepted is like you're almost in mainstream movies. We've mentioned this before. It's the Duplass brothers and their negative effect on the culture, where if you get cucked, it is kind of your fault, but it's your
right.
duty to forgive your wife and fix your marriage. That is
Okay,
the
fair
Mark
enough.
Duplass
Yeah.
school of thought. If you get cuckolded, you have to love your wife anyway because that's just how it goes, right? Am I right? Don't you hate it when your wife is sucking someone's dick at a party? Damn, I must have screwed up. Now, maybe your wife is just an evil bitch. Did you ever think that your wife is just a selfish glutton for fucking penis? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the real moral, is women aren't
Yeah.
inherently good. So
Yeah, don't you hate
this
when your wife sucks at a stranger's dick and your mom's birthday party because she just had a couple of cocktails? Hey, don't you hate that? You still love her though. It's fine. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Don't you
I
hate when
guess
your wife's boyfriend shows up to the delivery room to see his child born?
that looks more like him than you.
Right.
Uh, I guess what I was getting to when it comes to Unfaithful is that the sex scenes between the older lady and the young guy are more graphic and more out there than what you see in Deep Water. Because everything that happens in Deep Water, it's all inside of their house, or you have that scene in the car where you don't know if it's real or not, and that's it. In Unfaithful, this old bitch is going wild, fucking this guy at a bar.
Oh,
I don't
she's
even.
literally like 29 years old. This old
Yeah,
bitch. No, yeah, I completely agree with you. You also have like moments where it's not even necessarily graphic, but just the
no.
insinuation of the sex. Like when she goes over the young Hispanic man's house and is like, I can't do this
Is he
anymore. I'm ending
French? I
this.
thought he was French.
Was he
I thought
French?
he was like
I had
French or
in my
Belgium or
head that he
something.
was from Cuba
No,
or some shit. It's all
no.
the same thing. Listen, she goes over to his apartment and is like, listen, I can't do this anymore. She's emotionally, and he's just like, I'm going to tear your tights down and fuck you. And you're going to that's just how today is going to go. And she goes
Yeah,
with it. And she kind of
yeah.
regrets it afterward. but she's still like, there's a CNC play going on here, consensual, non-consensual. You know,
Right.
it's that thing. You don't get any of that. It's just very sterile, implied. Haha, we were messing around in the pool room.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, naughty business. So, but like I was saying before, this is the effect of those Duplass brothers movies, where it's just like, no, this is a normal relationship for your average man in California. You gotta go to the party where your wife might bring her other guy.
Hey, who's gonna cook dinner if not you for your wife and her boyfriend? Come
Yeah,
on, guys.
and I do like the passive aggressive, but it's even inappropriate for the Ben Affleck character play of like, oh hey honey, could you just bring this to mommy's friend? Just to go do that. Like he's saying fuck you, like think about our family, but she doesn't give a shit because she's just a
No.
slut. She's a fucking slut.
But that's why it doesn't work.
Right.
Because if you were trying to shame her and she was ashamed, then okay, it makes sense that he would do this. But then he would do that, and then she'd be like, "Yeah, so I don't give a fuck. Who cares?"
Right.
So it's like it doesn't have that effect at all. It's just a sad husband that's trying to get one over his wife, but his wife is younger and better looking, and it's easier for a better looking woman to have sex than a 50-year-old man. So deal with it. And that's
his
the movie.
his minor speed bump victory is like, oh, I can go to bed with you tonight. We can share the same bed. She's like, oh, I don't feel good because my boyfriend was just killed.
Because you
Do you
just
mind
killed
if
my-
you do you mind just snuggling with me for tonight? And he's like, well, look who's back
It's like,
on
got
top.
got you, bitch.
Yeah.
So you didn't need me. Yes, we're
Right.
both wearing clothes, fully clothed in bed. Not gonna touch you, but I'm winning here.
You know, we will keep a pillow between us, and I'll be in my pajama pants. But this is
I'll
a
be wearing-
victory.
I'm wearing Mormon underwear, even though I'm not a Mormon. But but listen, this is me winning. She's fucking got a mouthful of cum that she has to spit out of the sink, and he's like, "This is
Yeah.
me winning." Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
you can
it's
just smell some
very-
guy's balls on your blanket, on your bedspread. Some man's ass is just faint in the air.
on your pillow. He did it on purpose. Yeah, it's just it just doesn't have that who am I rooting for? The Nicholas Richard Gere movie, he's very pathetic, and you kind of feel bad for how pathetic he is because he's just an older guy that your entire
Well, no, hold on a second. I don't agree with that at all, that he's pathetic in the movie. That's just an older couple who don't fuck that much anymore. And he's successful, so he's like, all right, whatever, I trust my wife. I'm going to go to work. He doesn't have, like, the defeated nature that this Ben Affleck character has. So
yeah, I guess
it comes as a blindside, and when that happens, he's like, well, no, I'm going to take fucking action. This is the first time.
Right.
I'm going to act immediately. Ben Affleck's like, well, I guess this is, like, the 9th time. I can't put up with this much longer. I gotta do something about this. My wife has fucked 22 guys now. I don't know what to do.
My wife has leaked 20 different types of cum into my bed. I think it's time for me to start acting or do something about it.
Right.
And then yeah, I don't know. Didn't work for me at all. I didn't care for it, and I kind of wonder if Adrian Lyne lost his touch in the 20 years hiatus that he took for whatever reason, because if you look at his filmography, this one feels like the tamest one.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know if Flashdance or Foxes, like you said. I haven't seen those two, but 9.5 Weeks has a lot of very horny graphic scenes on
Absolutely.
you have the stairs, the famous stairs with the water scene, and you have a lot of like very iconic I guess nudity scenes. Fatal Attraction is another well-known, even though you have a Dog for a Woman is still like a famous story of like a husband cheating on his wife with someone that's not as attracted to him just because he's there. Jacob's Ladder is wild, it's like out there. Then you have Indecent Proposal, who's another more interesting story than this one, because you actually have stakes. They're not rich, and they're being offered a large sum of money that would solve every single one of their problems. So the conflict there is more interesting. Lolita, I don't know what it is about, but I know it's something to do with a young girl and an older man. right?
Lolita is a guy who's in his early 60s or late 50s who encounters a 13 or 12-year-old girl and is smitten. Or no, he moves into a boarding house and he meets her that way because they live in the same building. The mother is the landlord. She's a widow. And in order to maintain that they never part ways, he marries her mom and just gradually grows more infatuated with her.
All right, so even that, even if it's not graphic, that sounds like a more serious, more adult theme than what we
Right.
get here. And then you got Unfaithful for the reasons that we've already spoken about. This one feels so much tamer than that, even though it's 20 years that had gone by, and you would expect that in 2022 you could, do more. I guess if you're going to make what are this called, sex sensual thrillers, or like erotic
Right?
thriller,
An
right?
erotic thriller. An erotic thriller.
Erotic thriller. If you're going to do an erotic thriller in 2022, you expect it to go maybe a little further than this does. This feels very PG-13 even, because she
Maybe
shows her
that's what they
tits.
were aiming for when
That's
they
it.
originally. Are there a lot of fucks? Do people say fucking? I mean, there was a fucking Batman. I can't believe they wasted that fuck on the guy who looks like the Quartering, where he's like, "Who the fuck is
Oh
Batman?"
yeah.
Stupid ass line.
Yeah.
God, what a waste! You should have had Paul Dano or somebody say fuck when he was
Yeah.
in the institution, or
Yeah.
like even Zoe Kravitz. She was just like fuck these privileged white men. Then that would have been I would have been along for that a little bit more. But it's just so wasted. And in this movie, I don't recall.
No.
So maybe they
No.
were gunning for a PG-13 release for theaters, which is unfortunate. But honestly, I don't have any expectation for gratuitous sex in films unless you're getting it from overseas, unless you're getting a Jasper
Yeah.
Noe or Lars von Trier or so a provocateur who has that in his head as something he wants to execute and delve into in a film.
Right. Yeah. I don't think you're gonna get that, and especially when it's presented like that, because this is how this movie was presented or sold, right? As like an erotic thriller with a couple. So you expect
Right. And for
more
a
of
lot of
the.
hype for I mean, I don't know if there actually was all that much hype about this movie because it fell into that weird area due to the Disney acquisition of Fox. So it's just kind
Yeah.
of put on the back burner for 2 years. I think it was supposed to come out in 2020 and it just didn't wind up going that way. For this to be his 20-year out of retirement film, it's kind of a dud. I mean, I
Dud.
look, there's a lot about the movie that I enjoyed in that, all right, well, this is Adrian Lyne at his not best, which is still better than many other filmmakers. This wasn't like a painful, excursion by any means, but the characters and the story and the stakes at the end did not feel earned to me. There's problems with it for sure. I'd give it like a 3 stars just based on entertainment value, but that's about it.
Oh, I didn't know the creator of Euphoria is the one that wrote this.
Yeah, Sam Levinson wrote or was one of the screenwriters on the script of this movie. There's a few, I believe, though. There's 2 or 3.
There's two, Zach Helm and Sam Livingston. Zach Helm has done Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium, and that's it. Stranger Than Fiction.
That was the last time they let Dustin Hoffman have a theatrical released film.
Mr. Magorium.
Yeah, where he was the star, where he was the headliner of that.
Was it Natalie Portman?
I
Yeah, he
don't
was second billed in this.
in his own title character feature. He got
Yep.
second billed.
Remember Natalie Portman? What is she doing now?
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't seen her pop up in anything recently. She did. No, that wasn't
No.
recent.
What, V for Vendetta? That's his last
There was
fucking
Annihilation in 2017, was it, or 2018? That was the last one that I could think of.
2018.
What do you
Lucy
think
in
of
the
these?
Sky.
What do you think of these Hulu originals? Have you watched any of the other ones? They seem to be carving out a niche of doing kind of what you said before is kind of accurate. Where I don't think this necessarily falls into the Lifetime bin, quite like some other films we've talked about recently. just because it does feel like you have production value to this, even if you're not getting. Oh, one other thing I really dislike that I'm going to gripe about, and is going to damage the production value praise that I gave to this movie. All the car scenes were so poorly green screened. Really terrible. It looked like they got a 480p video from YouTube of people driving around and just stuck that in the window of the driver's seat and the passenger seat and played that behind them. And I'm noticing this with films more and more. And there's a lot of Batman comparisons to be made here. What I noticed with the Batman, and also I noticed with this film, is they get lazy with the settings, and they return to the same setting multiple times. So we have the interior of the car framed in the same exact way multiple times. It's very sitcom-y. It feels like an episode of Seinfeld where they're just trapped in a car for the entire episode, and you have that background on loop. They frame these shots the same exact way each time. And also with Batman, you had him and Commissioner Gordon returning to the not the warehouse, the abandoned building, wherever they would have like sunrise. Yeah. And it was always shot in the same way, and it started to feel repetitive and lazy. And I haven't seen that before in many other features, aside from like films from the 1940s, where you only have so many sets and camera angles you're going to go with. I don't know why everything is acting in such a regressive manner creatively, and it's now affecting, good talents, good creative minds. I don't get it. It's so convenient and sloppy.
But it feels so dumb too, because a lot of the times they're just green screening what could just be a location.
Yeah.
So it just feels completely unnecessary as to, we built this door for a house and then everything is green screen. So why don't you just get a house so that it looks like a fucking house instead of just having to frame it the same way every time so that it looks the same, you know?
Right. I've seen a lot of people griping about this as far as like the new Spider-Man movie goes, because they went to go see it in theaters and people were sucking that movie's dick left and right. Oh, it's Tobey Maguire, it's Andrew Garfield. And then it goes and...
Listen, I finally watched that because I wanted to. I caught up with the last two Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I've been in a very, like, I hate everything that has to do with superheroes, but I kind of want to know or want to be in the know just so that I can have an educated opinion. And after what you told me, what is it, Far From Home or whatever that movie's called?
No Way Home.
No Way Home. It's bad. That I love the Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I think he's the best Spider-Man. This just felt like so, like they were just like, let's just fucking throw everything together because people recognize this thing, and that's it. And then there's really nothing going on with that movie because everything that happens at the end of it becomes whatever. Nothing. It doesn't change anything. The movie previous to that, when you have the Mysterio character, who gives a fuck? It's all drones. Oh no, there's drones are creating these images. Like, I don't understand, and maybe I'm just old now, because the praise that superhero shit keeps getting, nothing from it I can even connect with, and I'm still a fucking dork, and that's the thing that I'm kind of confused by, because okay, so they're not made for this type of dork anymore, but they just feel like very average whatever movies that they just put in things that you might recognize and that convinces you that it's good. Mm-hmm. But when I was watching that movie, I wanted the Tobey Maguire character to do something interesting, and he's just him just being like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. Isn't that crazy?
And you get the vibe, and just from his face, that he knows he's above whatever they're doing there. He was like, I was actually hopping around in the suit. And they don't even do that anymore. Willem Dafoe is the only guy who did any of his own stunts on that movie. It sucks. It's not real filmmaking anymore. And you've seen people griping about it on Twitter because of certain screenshots where it's like so flat. Yeah, like they don't care about layering it or trying to like dress it up at all. It's literally just, all right, let's pop this into Adobe Premiere. Okay, background's gone. Great. That's about it. Let's put that in the movie. When you literally just had to stand people in a park. Now, these people who are also complaining about it on Twitter only, I'll say this, on Facebook, they don't see anything wrong with that. So those people are very happy with Spider-Man No Way Home. They love that movie. They think, all the stills from that belong on the One Perfect Shot Twitter / Did you see that HBO's got a new One Perfect Shot show with Ava DuVernay?
Oh
Perfect
no,
candidate to
her?
host the show.
Really?
Yes.
Someone who's never shot one perfect shot is the host of this series. That's great.
There's
The girl
it's
from
all just an attempt to continually gaslight themselves that she's a good director and an auteur.
didn't she do Selma?
She did
Who was
Selma, and
fucking
critics loved that. They nominated it for Best
fucking
Picture.
terrible
Everything
movie.
after, just horrible, just unimpressive shit. Now, the Spider-Man No Way Home. People love to take the two very stupid, in my opinion, and not all that faithful to filmmaking, like two like big brain rationales for why this movie shouldn't look this way. The first is, oh, they don't like hiring union people. They don't like hiring people to go show up to a park because that's going to cost more money. When, yeah, it might cost more money, but it's pretty close. It's neck and neck with hiring, a group of Indians to take out that background and put in something else. It takes more work, yeah, than just showing up to the
Yeah.
backlot green screen. Sure, I'll give you that. But, I mean, I think that's a dumb, stupid, like, soft leftist argument. That's all that really is. It's just coming back to they care more about the union than the film. And fuck the unions, because the unions cause a lot of problems. Yeah, good for getting people on unemployment while they're not working, sure. But fuck the unions as well. I'm not in any union.
Right.
Second,
Yeah.
they've just been a pain for someone like me who tries to make a fucking movie outside of all that. And I've gotten
Yeah.
people to break their union memberships, luckily, but now they're at risk because of their doing that. I don't like that either. So the second thing is, oh, the real issue with this, Tony Ravioli, the Indian guy who plays Flash Thompson, when he's in New York City, the lighting continuity doesn't work here. The real problem isn't that it looks bad. It looks bad because of the lack of lighting continuity. Where's this light coming from? Shouldn't there be a red light here since this stoplight is there? Hey, shouldn't there be a yellow light coming? Shut the fuck up, nerd. No one's thinking about that shit. I just want to fucking give that guy a noogie who says that.
Yeah.
The lighting continuity doesn't work when it's on his mouth. I don't fucking care. Look, I make movies. I don't think about that. You know how many movies I've seen I thought about lighting continuity? Get fucking real. No one's thinking about that when they sit down in the theater. Shut up. Maybe
Yeah.
it just sucks because it sucks. Maybe it's just fucking ugly because it's ugly. How about that?
How about Marvel has not hired a good screenwriter for 20 years? How about we worry about that?
Maybe it's not a good idea to have the producer of all the movies making every single creative decision
Yeah.
so that it's just all the same packaged film. We talk about Marvel too much on here. Marvel is actually
Yes.
starting to wane. People who like Marvel, and the Marvel movies anyway, are
I hope
starting
so.
to drop off. Now that they've gotten those shows out of the way for Loki and whatever, the fatigue is setting in, and it's going to be a good thing, hopefully. Hopefully
I
they
hope
don't
so.
apply the Marvel formula to other things in different ways. Seems like DC's finally giving up on that, which is unfortunately, and this isn't just so I can get another Twitter clip from that one guy who loves this show, which, by the way, we love that you're clipping the show and putting it up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Keep doing that. Keep doing that. But when they tried to do like the Zack Snyder version of the DCEU, which came out very messy because of the internal conflict, because they didn't really like what he was doing, it doesn't seem like now that he's out of the picture that they have any interest in actually upholding that and trying to stick with that. But I've seen a lot of people talking about like the Discovery merger, because Discovery recently bought Warner Brothers. So the Discovery Channel is going to be merged in with that.
Cool.
Kind of crazy to fathom that Discovery would have more money than Warner
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah, that's weird.
But that's
I
the
guess
case.
that shows you but what the industry is like now, where Discovery can. What does Discovery have?
They used to have Chip and Joanna Gaines, Fixer Upper. They have shows like that. It's Beer Grylls and Beer Grylls.
Nice. This
A lot of
HGTV type of shows.
Naked and Afraid. I think that's on
Oh,
there.
okay. No, that's a hit. That's a great show. I actually enjoy that one, so I
But
can't shit on
it's wild to imagine that these unscripted
Yeah.
programs somehow got you would have to assume more advertiser money than anything that Warner Brothers is doing. We're talking about
What? So
billion-dollar
now
companies.
So Discovery owns Bugs Bunny now? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking weird.
I
That
don't
is
think
weird.
they're gonna see. Here's the thing, though. Unlike Disney, I don't think they're gonna like the Warner Brothers name is dead. Just call it Brothers Studios. You know, they're not going to do that. I think they understand that the WB name has power to it. I think a better way to look at it is probably how Comcast, I think, or AT&T acquired Warner Brothers for a certain time. So you would just see the Warner Brothers logo and then an AT&T Communications Company. That kind of
everything doesn't everything just suck?
Yeah.
How did everything just got worse from when we were kids, you know? Where you have like canon movies if you wanted to see like shitty B sci-fi movies, and then you have this other label for these other type. Now everything is just under the same umbrella, handled by people that don't know why those points of the umbrella were successful, so they try to paint everything with the same brush, and it just doesn't work because that's not why people like them to begin with. So now we get four major companies that are just in charge of all the content that's out, which is, I guess, why everything just feels very whatever, you know.
It's not as big of a priority as making money, or they do bring in people who claim to be fans of these things, and they handle it well for maybe one or two, and then it falls apart. But what I was getting at before, which I didn't really get to, and we'll see how this Discovery thing plays out, because I'm not over the moon. I mean, I actually, for such poor leadership that Warner Brothers had during the 2016 to 2022 period, I do think that they produced a number of very good movies, and even the things where they hated the people who were putting it out and tried to fuck with it, it still brought us Zack Snyder's. Like, it's a complicated situation where you have the president of Warner Brothers who's not a fan of Zack Snyder, didn't like what he was doing, but all this stuff was still allowed to happen under his reign, whether it was, against his personal wishes or not. It's an interesting dilemma to be in. It could be much worse. We'll find out how this goes. I'm curious to see how Discovery impacts the Warner Brothers slate going forward, but there seems to be an impression online that will mean the Zack Snyder universe continuing, and Ben Affleck is suddenly interested again in playing Batman, even though he just said in an interview, Matt Damon sat me down and was like, "You're going to drink yourself to death if you put that suit on one more time." And I just had to quit. You're right. I had to stop playing Batman.
Can we talk about why actors take these superhero roles so seriously? Is it because all actors are just stupid and suck? Because I don't understand why this millionaire, very successful actors that have done a lot of movies before get into like a hole whenever they start, putting tights and getting into these characters that are not really, I mean, I don't know. Everything just feels very goofy to me. For Ben Affleck, for fucking Boston Ben Affleck to say, you know what, I can't wear the coal anymore, because if I wear the cowl, however you pronounce it, if I wear the cowl again, I might just go back to being an alcoholic and die. And it's like, what? Just fucking play. What are you doing? it's just you're not Bruce Wayne. Like, you don't have to go through all the conflict that this character has gone.
I don't think it comes down to like I'm getting in character, and it's just it's bringing out my demons. No, I think it's just like, oh, this suit is fucking sweaty and hot. I hate it. Here's the thing. It's the Paul Dano thing, where they ran with the Paul Dano headline, which was like, yeah, there were some nights I just couldn't sleep because I was so worried about my brain, Right. But then you like read the article and it's like, well, he didn't have a stunt double, I guess. He was actually putting duct tape around his head. So it was cutting off his circulation, his oxygen, so he couldn't fucking breathe. But they were like, haha, Jared Leto over here thinks he's going nuts. He's getting twisted. He's going to die of an Ambien overdose because he's playing the Riddler. Well, it's actually like, no, it's just a sweaty costume. It's fucking miserable. It's hot in Burbank.
Like Jared Leto was giving people death rats as a
He ruined it for everybody.
It's just like, what are you doing?
He mailed a used condom to Will Smith's trailer.
It's like, yeah, he fucked Jada Pinkett too. It's just like another. We're gonna have another special. Yeah, I don't understand that. And I guess, I mean, I'm not an actor. I when we were shooting Mass State Lottery, I'm not gonna spoil who my character is, but I didn't,
there weren't dark days where you had to like sit yourself down and just think through the actions your characters committed.
Listen, LowRes, I'm gonna need you to not talk to me for the whole day because I need to get it. Yeah, I'm gonna go take a shit right now because I just had coffee. But please don't address me as Hans because I am this character now,
Right.
and
A lot of people don't know this. Before Hans started shooting Mass State Lottery, you isolated yourself for 90 days. You went to a bunch of gay bars. When
yeah,
he was on the set, he was just like, no, no, no. You got to call me Devlin, or else it's going to
yeah,
break this idea I have in my head of what this character is in this world I'm inhibiting.
yeah. I had to wear very glasses that had a lot of what do you call it? What do you call when the glass has like to fix your eyes? What is that called?
Uh, s- uh, uh,
The
Surgery.
No, no, no. You know when glasses have like a different number that depending on how blind you are, the number gets lower or higher or whatever. Because my character was wearing glasses, I had to wear those very strong glasses that I couldn't see out of.
Right.
But because I wanted to get into character, I was just like, you know what, guys, just guide me and hold my hand while I cross the street. You know, like shit like that, where I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you've
Right. No,
stealed
yeah, that
the
is a nice
like,
thought. Is Jerry grabbing one hand, me grabbing another hand, and walking you to the location.
yeah, I'm driving in the middle of Boston with glasses that I can't see, like 1 foot in
No,
front of my
that
face.
probably would have helped your driving, if anything. It's a good thing we
Maybe.
didn't have you drive this time around.
Yeah, but I've never understood that. Like I get it when people like what's his name, Michael Clark Duncan. No, what's the white character, the
Whoa,
guy,
where are you going
white
with that
actor
one?
with There Will Be Blood guy who three names actor. I can't
Daniel
think of it right now.
Day-Lewis.
Yes, Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah, when he gets into the character and he becomes that to me is just annoying as fuck. Like I can't imagine dealing with a head case like that on set. We're just like, oh well, I guess the butcher is coming on set, and I can't direct him because he's
Right.
gonna
He was
slit my
playing.
throat.
He demanded to be referred as Abe Lincoln behind the scenes. He was texting. He was like, "Ye old" to people as he's sending texts.
Yeah, he
Just
will see a black guy and be like,
yeah, yeah.
It's me, it's the guy. I freed you. Yeah, so whenever they try to pull that as like a selling point, I'm just like, actors suck. Just it's not that difficult. Who's the Louis C.K. Another
Method actor.
good
Yes.
good boy celebrity that we're talking about. He would always say acting it's easy, like it's not that complicated, and I don't agree with that at all after being on camera for this movie that we recorded. But
Right.
at the same
That's
time,
really easy to say when you're Louis C.K. and people
yeah, when
expect
you
low energy Louis C.K. when he shows
yeah,
up. To say, all you got to do is, oh, I guess.
it's
All
like
right, great, Louis. Back to the trailer. Okay, take two.
uh, I guess I'm sweaty now, and I'm the sweaty guy.
Right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to fix that. And it's like, well, I guess he's sweating now. But at the same time, whenever this Hollywood actors get that deep into the roles, and especially when it's like a comic book, like superhero goofy shit, it's just like, can you fucking stop it? It's not that like it happened with fucking Heath Ledger. That's it. I don't know why they keep trying to make that happen again. As to like that's the selling point. Jared Leto is such a weird Joker. You watch the movie and it's a piece of shit. You're just like, what's the fucking point of him even being a weirdo on this movie that sucks? Like is that more of a selling point that the movie actually being good? Because that movie stinks. And
I like
that
the Robert Pattinson school of thought, which is like, I'm not going to really do anything at
yeah,
all. I'm not even going to work out. I'm just going to be skinny, and you're going to have this version of Batman. That's all it's going to be.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that works.
you want to get me, then you get this, and that's it. I'm not gonna be like Christian Bale. I'm gonna gain 50 pounds of pure muscle so that I can
Right.
be Batman. No, fuck it.
You can be
That's just
Michael Keaton and just have abs installed on the suit. Fuck it. Just
yeah,
what? Oh, you're going to hang upside down and showing back muscles? Yeah, that's actually going to be your stunt double. Yeah, I'm not doing
yeah.
anything.
Adjust your movie so that my character is not big. And
Right.
good luck, and that's it. Yeah, yeah. I like that a lot more because at least you can respect that from the actor, where he's got enough of a career where he can ask for those things. But yeah, whenever this actor takes himself so seriously, he's just like fucking just shut up. Like it makes me lose interest instead of caring about what they're actually doing, especially when they're just playing a goofy guy wearing a Joker paint on their face. It's like it's all right.
Well, during his alcoholism, we did get deep water out of that. So a lot of his, maybe it was method acting. You know, that's what got him back on the sauce. Is being a cucked, miserable husband is
Just
really the
sad.
root cause.
Just sad
You
Ben
know, I do
Affleck.
like the fact that it was working with Joss Whedon that pushed him over the edge into fucking leaving his wife and drowning in booze. So
Yeah.
I don't know. With this Discovery merger, there seems to be some idea that Ben Affleck's Batman was going to die in the Flash movie, and we don't know if that's going to be the case now because
Mm.
they seem to think of the Zack Snyder show, which had I think the best overall viewer retention of any HBO Max movie, as in people who put it on kept it on and watched the whole thing more than any other film that they released direct to streaming. They're looking at those numbers and going, we don't want to disregard that. That might be a good way to go. But that's going to be complicated now with the Robert Pattinson Batman being such a big hit overseas,
Yeah.
especially. We'll see what happens. Look, I like Ben Affleck. I think he's a great director. I think he's a fine actor when he tries, because otherwise
Mhm.
you do get that low energy that I think you get in Deep Water, where
Yeah.
it doesn't really require much of him. But when he's playing a smug piece of shit, like in The Last Duel, then it's just fire. It's
Yeah.
great.
Great. Yeah.
It does seem
when
like,
when
and
you get Ben
it,
Affleck or Mallrats, that's great. You
right.
know, it's yeah.
He, I gotta say, you know, Jay and Silent Bob reboot is not a good movie, but Ben Affleck seems to have much more energy and personality and character in his few minutes in that movie than any second of Deep Water. So take that for what you will. Clerks 3, looking forward to that. Can't wait, Kevin. Can't
It's
wait,
sad.
Kevin.
That is so sad, though. You know, he's not even pumped to do an erotic thriller with his couple.
Yeah.
He's just bored because he's sad. Why are you sad, Ben Affleck? You have everything you want in your fucking life. I don't understand. I guess that's the Joss Whedon, like you said, the Joss Whedon effect of just staring at those gums telling you what to do. I that would drive me to drink. I mean, making that movie with you drove me to drinking, and you
Right,
weren't even
yeah.
that
It was
unpleasant. So
a good time.
so,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I can only imagine what fucking orangutan teeth Joss Whedon would do.
Maybe it's just like he emanates bad luck, and that bad luck stuck to Ben for a while. Just like how we went out of state for a shoot and got hit with all that residual bad luck all in one
Yeah.
day, and luckily it kind of just stayed in that state outside of Massachusetts. But yeah, maybe that's what happened to Ben Affleck. Is he just worked with the wrong guy, got dealt the wrong hand? I don't know. Deep Water, check it out. We both enjoyed the movie. It is pretty sexy at times when you see
No.
her giant, thick nipples on her tiny breast. You know, that's fine. It's not even like an
Yeah,
eraser. It's like a fucking like a bottle cap on a bottle of Pepsi. You know, that's her nipples.
that's her nipple
It's
right
too
there.
much. It's too much for such a small breast. I don't mind that on an enormous breast, but on a
It's
tiny
very
Ana de Armas tit,
yeah,
no, you can't do that. Calm down. Maybe she was
yeah.
just going through a period or something. Her nipples were puffing up, flaring up a little bit during that time. I don't know, but her breasts get a like a 3 out of 5, just like this movie.
Yeah, she's much better in Knock Knock. She was in that, right? That that
That was Eli Roth's wife, and I think it was her as well.
yeah, with Matrix man, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes, yeah, that's a very sexy movie on him fucking these two young
They're
women.
trying to seduce this middle-aged gay man into fucking them. So it's a blackmail operation. Doesn't
That's
quite work.
probably a better movie than what we got from Knock Knock. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't watch this. It sucks. Don't fucking watch them. It's just very underwhelming. Who I saw someone tweeted, I don't remember who it was, but it was like I read that the erotic thriller that Ben
Ben
Affleck
Stiller's erotic thriller. It's
Ben,
very cable guy-esque.
Ben Affleck did it with his couple at the time, has barely any nudity, and that makes no sense. And that's kind of what this is. It's very Jilly, very Jersey Girl, you know, where we're gonna take advantage of this relationship, but it's there,
Mm.
and that's it. They don't really do much interesting with it.
I agree. I do think there's a lot of wasted potential to this movie, but if you're a fan of Adrian Lyne, if you're a fan of Ben Affleck, I think it's worth checking out. It's not, I mean, given the slate of movies that you can find available on streaming, and I wanted to get to this before, it seems like Hulu is carving out a sort of niche in soft horror style Lifetime movies. Did you see Fresh with Sebastian Stan?
I just got that today because I saw that a lot of people were talking about it on Letterboxd, but I haven't seen it. No.
It's not
Have you?
bad. Honestly, I watched the trailer and I was like,
You
this
know
could
what
go
he?
either way.
You know what he was great in? That I just finished watching recently. That Pam and Tommy show. He
Oh,
plays
that's
Tommy
next for
Lee.
me. Yeah.
He's great in that. Even though I hate Tommy Lee, I think he's a shithead, and he's never been like a
Why
likable
do you hate
character.
Tommy Lee? Just
Because
because
he's just
he's too
he's a douche.
rambunctious?
Yeah, he's just the kind of like a
Yeah, he's
rock
some
star
punk.
douche. So it's
Yeah.
just like I don't care. I never cared for it. I always thought he was kind of a douche, but he plays him like great. Like he's that looks and sounds and every whoa dude stupid reaction feels like Tommy Lee. So he was
Authentic.
really good in that. I actually enjoyed that. I enjoyed Seth Rogen in that a lot, which I was not expecting. That was I think it's Stars Channel production, and that
No, no,
was
no,
kind
no.
of
That's
nice.
Hulu. That's Hulu, I believe.
Are you
That's also
sure?
Hulu. Yeah, I think they have a contract with Sebastian Stan.
Oh, okay. Well, that was really good for the 8 episodes that it lasted. Oh yeah, Hulu. Yeah, you're right.
You get very
Uh,
American Crime Story vibes off of that one, where it's like we're making fun of something from the '90s.
Kind of, but it doesn't have that shine, which I don't like
The glamour.
from that guy's what's his name?
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, I don't like his shows because everything just feels very shiny and very sanitized and very gay. Gay, I
Hmm.
guess you could say. This doesn't have that. This feels like more real, kind of in a retro-ish documentary style-ish thing with very interesting characters.
I don't mind that to a capacity, or if it fits what we're watching. Like with the OJ show, they're
Mhm.
going like very melodramatic with it, felt appropriate.
Right,
But I don't know if I necessarily see the glamour aspect to that one as so much as I do the Bill Clinton one that they just finished up recently, where it has more of a vibe to the assassination of Gianni Versace installment, where that makes sense. I think that fits
right.
it perfectly. You're in Miami, you're dealing with a fashion icon. It fits.
Yeah.
But with the impeachment one, maybe
I
you
don't
might you might
even.
be just getting bored. They had
Uh,
Beanie Feldstein. Look, Monica, they've gotten out of control with this Beanie Feldstein, who's
who's
Jonah
that?
Hill's not daughter, his sister, his little sister. She's in Funny Girl now as well on Broadway. She's gotten too much work. She's just a dumpy slob. Now Monica Lewinsky was chubby, but she wasn't Beanie Feldstein. Yeah, why don't we cast Rosie O'Donnell as Monica Lewinsky? Fuck.
What are they casting her as Monica Lewinsky now? Is that what the role is?
No, wouldn't that fit? Uh, this is supposed to be 20-year-old Monica Lewinsky in the White House sucking off old
I
Bill.
don't I don't think Bill would have gone for this.
No,
You know, Monica Lewinsky wasn't hot. Like I'm not saying she was like the hottest intern or whatever, but she was not this.
no, she's very
She was
average.
yeah, she's not even now. Like she's better looking than Jonah Hill over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I guess it did him.
Let's
I
see.
guess that's
Hold on.
what
There's a picture of her as Monica Lewinsky and Clive
is that it?
Owen. No, what? Maybe
American Crime Story.
Clinton Trump parallels. I think Ryan Murphy is
A
covert
hack?
Republican. No, maybe. I was never a fan of American Horror Story
No.
personally. I hated how much they leached to popular horror and went with like really dull, motifs with each season. But
I tried multiple times, and every time I would get 2 episodes in and be like, "Oh, right, I forgot this is just that guy making this thing."
well,
Dialogue is shit. Everything has like that shine that it shouldn't because it's supposed to be horror.
he did
So
that
then
with
when
the remake of Friedkin's The Boys in the Band, which was needlessly glamorous in the way that you're describing, and really didn't call for it because that's not the kind of gay men that they focused
No.
on with that film. There's like maybe one who's flamboyant, but yeah, I'm like I have a good 20% positive like accuracy rate with Ryan Murphy. Most of his stuff I just cannot palate, but I did enjoy American Crime Story, especially the Gianni Versace one. But on the whole, he sucks. I'm not really that big of a fan.
No, no, and those American Horror Story series are for older fat women, literally, or gay men, I
Yeah,
guess. Uh, that just that are that point, and I recognize that thing, and I'm a fan, and that's it.
right.
I tried. I think the only one that I finished was the Carnival one, just because I love Carnival Freaks. But even that,
I thought
at
you were gonna say
points, I
because you
was
love carnivals, you love going to the fair, so
no,
you finished it.
no, I love the Foreign Freaks, but I even that at times was just kind of a just drag. It's just like you're still trying to make Gabori Sibire a thing, and she's terrible. She's not an actor. She sucks. But he would always cast him as like a character that's supposed to emote a lot or like show a lot of emotion, and she's terrible.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of decisions like that with his casting that some directors, some creators can use the same cast of characters because they're very good actors that can mold themselves into different directions, so that works. Someone God damn it, like a French Dispatch guy. Can't think of
Wes
his name right
Anderson.
now. Wes Anderson. He uses the same cast pretty much for every movie, but they all play kind of different characters and they work because it's his world. Here, it feels like
The parts are
he's
too
trying.
jumbled, and I don't think that everyone is pulling the same amount of
No,
acting quality weight.
no, you. It feels like he's trying to fill a quota because of the times that we live in. So a lot of the times there's characters or actors that are cast in a position that they don't look like they should be that, or they don't act the way that the character should act. So then it just feels like surreal in a bad way, you know? So
Well, do
he's
you remember
serious.
when we went through that phase in television where you had to have like a Down syndrome character, and then he used them, and she was like the creepy girl or something? So he kind of got away with like poking fun
Yeah,
at the Downs actress. But if
yeah.
if you took a look at like the Secret Life of the American Teenager, where you have scenes being carried by one or two Down syndrome actors, like, oh, I spilled a cookie. You know, it would be a horrible, horrible thing to say. What are you laughing at that? That's insensitive, Hans. You had a ton of shows like this in
Feel
2009 to
like cookie?
2014.
You feel like cookie.
So
Why are you laughing? Yeah.
Ryan Murphy had at least one of these in his stable to go to, and it doesn't seem like she's getting. They should have cast her as Monica Lewinsky.
I mean, it should look more like it. But yeah, Ryan Murphy sucks. And why did we get into Ryan Murphy
I don't know. Let's
again?
wrap this show. It's already
Yeah, it's a
midnight
long.
now. Well, let's throw
Yeah,
this up so people can watch it at not 3 in the morning for once.
yeah,
All right. Surfshark VPN, discount code LowRes. Go to surfshark.deals/LowRes. Patreon.com/LowRes for exclusive episodes of the series. I believe we have the episode on Good Time premiering right now. If you want to check YouTube out, see if
yeah.
there's any. We got a good audience on the last show we did, which was after midnight, more than what we're used to. So that was a good live viewing. But anyway, that's been movies for this week. H-word name on Twitter, LowRes Wonderbread on Instagram, LowRes WB on Twitter. Thank you for listening.